You sent some scathing texts about Hugh Hudson, the director of Chariots of Fire.
I
So
did.
I don't know if
Not
you,
only am I unashamed and unabashed, but I'll read those on air.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Hugh
Throw 'em out.
Hudson, more like Doc Hudson from Cars. Am I right? I think everybody pretty much knew what I was getting at there.
I guess he's kind of the villain of the piece.
Hugh Hudson, suck my dick, dude. I don't give a shit about your stupid movie. How about that?
1, 2, 3, 4.
These boys only want the best stuff. They want the cream of the crop. They don't want none of that Michael Bay shit. They want the shit that pops. Oscar bait, black and white. Maybe something French. If it's got more than one explosion, honey, put that shit on the bench. Oscar Wieners, Oscar Wieners, Oscar Wieners. These boys are the Oscar Wieners.
Yum, yum.
Oscar Wieners.
Welcome to Oscar Wieners,
Yes.
the only show on the internet where Hollywood's biggest night is a Chariot of Fire.
Wow, how long did it take you to come up with that one?
Like it's forever, man. Like
Yeah,
all
I'm
night.
sure. That was gesticulating. That was gestating.
I am Hugh.
Okay. And I am Pippi Short Stocking. Top of the morning to you.
Jesus, that's offensive to my
Is it?
people.
Your people?
No, I'm Michael. What's your fucking name?
I'm Ander. Nice to meet you.
We are the boys. We are the Wieners. And
Sure.
this is a show, a podcast, if you will, where every week we talk about a Best Picture winner at random and try and figure out if it's Best Picture worthy. This week we are talking about the 1982 Best Picture winner, Chariots of Fire, directed by. Music kind of rips, huh?
It's the only thing about this movie that rips, I'll be honest. Who directed this swill?
Directed by Hugh Hudson.
You.
Hugh.
Yo.
Starring Ben Cross as Harold Abrahams.
Harold.
And the two main leads, Ian Charleson as Eric Little. So takes place from like 1919 to like 1924, up to the 1924 Olympics. Harold Abraham, it's two kind of parallel stories. Harold Abrahams is a Jewish Englishman who is motivated to win a gold medal in the Olympics because he's a runner, win a gold medal in the Olympics for running, as a way to like sort of prove to the anti-Semitic people of England
The
that
world, I suppose.
yeah, like Jewish people are not, lesser than.
Jewish people are fast.
Right. Jewish
Yeah.
people are fast. Jewish
Yeah.
people are people.
Yes.
And then you have Eric Little's story where he's like devoutly Christian. He's from Scotland. And he feels like God is looking down on him in pleasure.
Ew.
In sort of orgasmic pleasure, if you could believe it, when he's running, but he's sort of torn between, because he's Eric Little was at like a monastery in China, a
Yeah.
Christian monastery in China, but he's come back to Europe to race, to run.
Yeah, he's like an evangelist. He wants to be a spokesperson for God, I guess.
Yeah,
For Christ.
for Christ's sake.
Yeah, I
literally.
mean, it's funny because they both, I would say Eric experiences quote unquote persecution. Like Abraham's, he's persecuted for his beliefs. Eric, I don't know what his deal is. He's just like persecuted for like he believes in God too much. I don't know. Like he's not persecuted. He's just like he just has a scheduling conflict because he can't run on the Sabbath.
We've all been there. I mean, yeah, the tension in his kind of storyline is more like the tension between being devoutly faithful to God and like doing something that he kind of more wants to do and by running.
Yeah.
But it's not even like it's mostly the tension with his sister. His sister's like, you should be at the monastery in China because you're like, you believe in God and that's where you should be, and we should quit this running business. And he's like, sis, I fucking love running and I can feel God working through me.
That is what
I
he
feel
says.
running is my purpose that God gave me as a way to spread the word of God and whatever. He's like, so I'll get back to the monastery, but first let me fucking run in the Olympics.
Yeah, he's like, let me just win this quick medal. I think it's the most boring subplot I've ever seen in a movie before. It's just he has this whole sit down with like all the higher ups of the Olympic Committee and like the British running team and whatever. The Prime Minister is there, right? The Prime Minister is there meeting with this guy.
And the Prince of Wales.
Yeah, for whatever reason, the Prince of Wales is there. And they're like basically begging him to run in this race, but he's like, I won't because it's Sunday and I can't run on Sunday. And then some other guy strolls in and is like, just take my place. Like, you're being kind of a wuss about it. And then it resolves. It's so weird. It's so anticlimactic, and it just is very boring.
Here's the thing. So I actually don't mind that subplot. Here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
You know, the letterbox reviews, I was seeing like people kind of saying the same thing without actually expanding on what they meant. It's just being like, they were all a lot of reviews were like, this movie's so British. This movie is so British. It is
English, very British.
So British, whatever. All the conflict is so quiet and patient in a British way, like in a way that feels British, where it's like it's polite. People barely raise their voices above like slightly loud. People just kind of talk calmly, even if they're tense. Yeah, and it's like this has no juice. It's such a funny cut when they get to the Olympics, because you've been in England and Scotland for most of the movie, kind of cutting back and forth and seeing like the way the culture of England and Scotland is.
Yeah.
And then when they get to the Olympics, they cut briefly to sort of like the big dogs who they'll be running against, which is like America. I guess America has like some of the best runners. And when it cuts to the Americans training for the Olympics, it's like guys being like fucking yelling and people like moving really quickly. And I'm like,
they're actually exercising. The British team, all you ever see is they're like smoking cigars and sipping on brandy. It's like, so the one dude, he trains by he places glasses of champagne on the hurdles. It's like the most posh thing. And the Americans, they're doing like high knees and sit-ups and shit. Like they're actually working out.
Yeah.
It is a funny contrast. I did like that moment.
So you loved this movie?
Yeah, it was my favorite movie I've ever seen of all time. I place it right above Finding Nemo.
No, what was your experience watching? Because I was expecting...
Fighting off sleep is my experience. Sorry.
I was expecting a more traditional sports drama. And I do, to this movie's credit, this movie is kind of a lot a bit weirder than I was expecting. Like just the way it's structured, the way it's paced.
Yeah,
it's weird.
I think that's to its discredit, in my opinion. I was expecting more of a sports film with some interesting scenes in action. Like I kind of get excited at the prospect of a Best Picture winning sports drama because I think
Rockies.
Sports. Love a Rocky.
Yeah.
I think sports, when looked at through, an eye for storytelling, I think they become really interesting. Because sports, I think, inherently are interesting. Mm-hmm. The human-based story elements, they culminate in this action-packed sporting event where you can really like flex and be like, oh, here's our dramatic music, and here's our fast pacing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's supposed to be the payoff, and there was none. Like, the sporting event in this movie is less than 30 seconds long.
Not to talk too much about Rocky, which we will someday cover, but
God,
the thing with
willing.
a sports movie is like, and a movie like Rocky is like everything that precedes the fight with Apollo, like with Rocky's like interpersonal life and relationships,
Yeah.
he's bringing into the ring, and it's sort of like it's like an externalization of that stuff.
Yeah. It culminates in that
Like
fight in the end.
you feel all that stuff in the fight itself. Whereas like this movie, you feel it a little bit with Abraham's, because again,
Yeah.
like he's he's fighting against Jewish prejudice. Like
Yeah.
he's running as a way to, what's the word? I don't know, just like not be so like to sort of defend the people he comes from.
Yeah.
But even that is handled so like quietly that it almost like feels dropped, like as like a thing motivating him.
It is. Well, because like it takes a back seat to his rivalry with Eric.
Which
But,
is
like,
even that is quiet and
it
like
is.
barely
Like,
exists.
It barely exists. Like they're kind of everybody is friends and wins in the end. It's so blasé. It's so like that's literally what happened. Everybody gets a medal and it's all feel good and blah blah blah. And I can't help but think like, why was this made? Why am I watching this? Like, why does this exist? Like, who cares? I could have read the Wikipedia article and been just as entertained. You know what I mean? I didn't get it. I didn't get why it exists.
I love a movie without charisma or charm, frankly. No, I don't hate this movie. I think it's fine. I think it's well made. I think like I do think the main performances that I think are really good. Like I think the two leads, Harold Abrahams, like Ben Cross as Harold Abrahams and Ian Charleson as Eric Little, I think they're both really good performances.
I agree with that. But
yeah,
but the characters I think are so homogenous. Like it's just a fleet of the whitest British boys you've ever seen, which is like fine. I don't know if that's. I'm saying it on this podcast. This is a movie about a lot of homogenous white British boys. It's tough to distinguish them from one another in terms of appearance and attitude. Like they all act kind of the same. His friend Abraham's friend plays the exact same role as Eric. Like it's so hard to separate them from each other. Like they're both this friendly rival character. I'm like, what makes these people individuals? Like why are they different from each other? They don't feel unique.
That's a great point. I think the thing with Abrahams too is like he says he's Jewish, and I was thinking a little bit about like being like with this movie being like Abrahams is sort of like ethnically Jewish, but he's not. He's at least what we see. He's not like religiously or spiritually Jewish.
Not
like, he
to
doesn't,
the extent that Eric is.
Right,
Eric
and
is
I'm like,
devout. Yeah.
I was missing because we don't see what Eric's like, or not Eric's, what Abrahams's Harold's life as a Jewish person is besides being persecuted. Like, what's his family like? You know what I mean? Whereas like
true.
Eric Little has like his sister, he has his father, he like goes to church, he has like his community. Whereas like Abraham's, it's just he's interacting with like a Christian Anglo-Saxon. He says this, sort of kind of whitewashed England, and like that's the crust of society he's in. But like we don't see where he's from, or
but at least we're shown elements of him being persecuted for his Jewishness. Like as soon as he arrives to campus at Cambridge, there's the guy who's like judging him based on his last name. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like one guy's like, "Do it for Israel," like it's like a kind of shitty thing to say to him. Like when he's doing the run around the courtyard.
Oh yeah,
it's like something somebody says.
That was a cool scene, I guess.
That scene is cool.
They're racing each other in the courtyard.
Yeah.
And that was it. You can turn this off after the first scene of the movie, the first scene where they're running on the beach. But even that is confusing. Like they're devoting like close-up screen time to each individual main character in the movie, and you still can't tell them apart. I'm like, wasn't that the last guy you just showed? Like you can't tell.
You know what's funny is that they do that. They play that again at the end of the movie as like a way to be like, Ben Cross as Harold Abrahams, and like they kind of
Yeah.
go down the line. Then the last guy they end up on, I'm like, who the fuck was that? Was he even in the movie? It was like
Yeah.
James Jameson as Dickie Worthenshire. I'm like, who the fuck's
Yeah.
that? I
No,
don't know
that
who that
guy,
is.
he's got like a couple lines. I was like, oh yeah, that guy, he disappeared for a while.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that. I think chronologically that takes place as like the last thing that happened. Well, I guess not. I guess the last thing is the funeral. Who's dead? Who is dead?
Abrahams.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Eric is giving his eulogy, or is it his other friend?
This movie confused me a little bit at points where it was like the movie starts with a eulogy, like
Right.
where it's like all these people gathered in I guess it's a church. It might be a synagogue.
Maybe
I
a
don't really know.
synagogue? I
It might
don't
be a
know.
synagogue. And obviously there's people in old age makeup, so I get the sense that we'll see these people when they're younger.
Right.
Um, and then it cuts to brief eulogy for like a minute. Then it cuts to narration by Aubrey Montague, who is sort
What
of
the
like
hell is that?
Abrahams's like closest confidant. Like he's sort of like he's the guy who like watches Abrahams when like he's getting a massage and like
Who? What? When? What does that happen?
sorry, I'm sorry.
This is his closest confidant. I don't know who this person is. You're
He's a-
consuming oatmeal.
He's a person missing a
Oh my god!
There's a person missing a train.
On the oh, isn't that the?
That's not Lord Lindsay. That's Montague.
Who cares? Who cares? Honestly, who
What?
cares? Honestly, who cares? It's you know what? They're right. Everyone who's reviewed this movie, it's like it is too British. It is too British. I have nothing wrong with the British people. I just think it's maybe a little too laid back. There's not enough juice or oomph.
Wow.
I think ultimately it's kind of forgettable. It's entirely competent. It's
Very
it's
well
a
made.
well
I think
made
it's a very
movie.
well made movie.
Like
Looks really good.
it's not. I don't think it's very confusing, other than like the indistinguishable characters.
It,
That's
no, it was
annoying.
just like the first 10 minutes. I was like, where the fuck are we? Who are these people? What's going on? But I guess
Yeah.
that's almost every movie.
But as far like this is another movie where like on paper it's a pretty good movie because it's just like okay, here's this conflict that exists in the world of sports and there's religions involved and like all these other external factors and him and his girlfriend and blah blah blah. Like you think it's gonna add to this dramatic thing and it doesn't. It just falls so flat. It felt like it was 3 hours legitimately. I don't know. It's like there's no way this was 2 hours.
Yeah, that's a person who's done so dirty. Alice Cridge
She's
as
the
Sybil
one female
Gordon.
character in this whole movie, and she's in it for
Yeah,
like
and she's
9
just
seconds.
she's asked over. So she's dating Abrahams.
Yeah,
She's asked over and over again, or told honestly over and over again by the people in Abraham's life, you just got to let him compete in the Olympics and then he'll be really committed to you. I know he's like distant and doesn't really hang out with you. You just have to understand and it'll be fine eventually. I'm like, what?
it's just a weird. Like I get if you have like he's got this goal that he's working towards and whatever, but it's weird to start the relationship in that status. Like he hasn't really
Yeah.
earned anything. You know what I
They
mean?
have one date where you're like, oh, I could see how these people like each other, and that's it.
And that is it.
And it's like 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It's the teens, I guess. Maybe it was different. Like if you go on a date with
The
somebody,
20s
it's
were
like
crazy.
your third date is marriage. Your third date is your wedding day, practically.
And that is crazy.
Crazy.
You know what the best who gives the best performance in this movie?
Who?
I thought he was going to be such a bigger character, but he isn't. Ian Holm as Sam Musabini.
Oh, the coach.
He won Best Supporting Actor, I believe, at the Oscars. It's a great performance.
Yeah. It's fine. The acting is good. The acting is fine. The characters are boring, and I think he is awesome. No, he's like the
because he has
only one.
energy.
He's got a little bit of, but then what happens to him? What is his deal? He coaches him. He's kind of like this. He's got like this sardonic attitude. Like he's kind of funny, and then Abrahams goes to the Olympics, and he's like, I'm just gonna stay and wait in this weird hovel.
I
Like, why
didn't
can't he go
totally.
watch him? He writes him a letter afterwards. He's like, I won. Thanks, coach.
I think the reason Musabini can't be in the stadium.
Is he secretly Mussolini? Is that the problem?
Shut up! You're always on about that guy.
I'm serious, dude. That guy was a problem, and no one
You're
seems
like
to be
really
talking
into
about him.
fascism, and it's honestly a bad look. Um, I want to say because there's also that conversation that like the kind of elder deans or whatever at Oxford
Yeah, they're kind of
they
whispering
talk
about
to
him.
Abrahams and talk to him about Musabini, and I get the implication that there's like a prejudice against Musabini because he's like I looked up like where his like he's actually like where his like people are actually from. So he's like
It's,
Musabini in real life was Italian, French, and Syrian. So I guess like the English are like don't like that
oh,
he's
right.
like
They called him an Arab, and they were like,
yeah, like
yeah,
they
we
don't
don't
like that
like
he's
him.
from
Yeah,
that region of the world.
right. But he
I
can't
think
be
that
let.
might
He
be
can't enter the stadium. Like, I don't understand.
I don't know. I don't know if that's part of it or I missed something or they just don't fucking say it.
I think they just don't say it. I don't know.
Um, but my favorite moment in the movie is when Abrahams wins a gold medal in is it the 100 meter,
I think it's the 200 meter.
200 meter, and Musabini is in like his little you said hovel. He's in like this little kind of like shambly apartment or
Yeah,
whatever. Um, and he knows Harold won because they play like God Save the Queen. They play some kind of British anthem, and he
right.
like, and it's like and like it's so sweet because he's like he did it or whatever, and like he sits down and he's like, it's so cute.
Yeah,
Keenholm is such a cutie pie. He's like a
yeah, I
cute little
guess.
grandpa who I want to take to the ice cream parlor.
And you know what? And
Even
you
even though he
shall. And
yeah,
you shall.
even though he's like probably like in his like 40s in this movie.
He's in his 40s in this movie.
That's partially makeup, probably because Musabini was maybe like older-ish. Maybe not.
Okay,
Maybe people just looked like that in the 20s. You know what I mean? Just looked
possible.
old.
That's possible.
Um,
Why is Abraham's pissed in the end? Like, he wins, he gets like everything he ever wanted, and then he's pissed.
it's like the thing of like if you get what you most want and have been working towards, like sort of what then? Like what do you do with the rest of your
Yeah.
life? Like
Yeah, like
he's it's like
his
almost a curse to win and get what you want because then you're sort of just like what now? And it's like I don't know, maybe go
I
kiss
get
your
it.
girlfriend.
He's like, oh,
Jesus Christ.
that wench, that 2-bit
Yeah.
dumpster
Go
woman.
kiss your pretty girlfriend, okay? And maybe let her tell you things about herself.
He's like, she hasn't even spoken about herself once. I get it. It makes sense. That does make sense.
It's
But
interesting, kinda, but it's
yeah,
just like not really. It's like sort of it happens quietly, and it's like it's a long shot of fucking Abraham's just like holding his hips and looking down and really thinking about what just happened, and then it's like, oh, I guess that's them. I guess he's thinking about that, but then it's over, and it's like, okay,
you got your whole life to think about that. You know what I mean? Like, let's see some
yeah,
celebration. I don't know. Like, it was funny how in the locker room after the race, his teammates are all like, they got a bottle of champagne for him, and they're all like excited for him. And I forget who it. I don't know if it's the friend or whatever. Is like, oh no, don't talk to him. He's pissed. And they're like, why? He's like, if you ever won a race, you would understand. And I'm like, all right.
the thing with Abraham's too, and maybe the reason the other guys don't understand and are sort of like confused about why he's like so upset about winning is like Abrahams is racing for like all Jewish people, particularly in
Yeah,
England, but like people who are prejudiced against for being Jewish. Like he feels like the responsibility of like defending them against like the sort of Christian ideal or whatever. And like that weight, it's like it seems like that weight is lifted when he wins,
yeah.
but like I don't
Maybe he
know.
feels like he has nothing to fight
He's like
for
was
anymore.
maybe he's like was that enough? Did I do enough? Does it really matter? Does it change anything? I don't really know.
It
I don't
probably
really know
doesn't.
what this movie
I'll
is
be
trying to
honest with
say.
him.
That's me kind of reaching a little bit and just guessing.
Maybe I'm just a piece of garbage and I don't get it, but I don't get
No,
it.
I mean, I guess I'm defending this movie more, but I watched this movie most of the time. I was a little bit just like kind of blank faced staring at it.
Just dead inside.
I was like, I don't totally feel anything really. I don't really know. It's like a fine movie. Would I recommend it? Not really.
Who else is in contention?
It's a good question. This year is a little bit stacked.
Really?
I mean, there's only 5 nominees.
Finding Dory was in it?
Ellen DeGeneres won for most abusive workplace. Oh, that is very interesting.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
So Chariots of Fire wins Best Picture, obviously.
Very good.
We also have, so I said this is a stacked year, but it's really 2 other nominees that are like, damn, those didn't win over Chariots of Fire.
Okay.
So the other 2 nominees that I haven't seen and are probably fine. We have first up Atlantic City, directed by Louis Malle. In a corrupt city, a small-time gangster and the estranged wife of a pot dealer find themselves thrown together in an escapade of love, money, drugs, and danger.
Ooh.
That's pretty good.
Sounds like Casino Royale.
Expand on that.
No.
Next up, we have On Golden Pond.
Oh, I've heard of this.
I've also heard of it.
This sounds like a movie for moms.
Yeah, it got Katharine Hepburn, Henry Fonda, directed by Mark Rydell. For Norman,
Nice.
Ethel,
Nice. Very good.
This summer on Golden Pond is filled with conflict and resolution. When their daughter Chelsea arrives, the family is forced to renew the bonds of love and overcome the generational friction that has existed for years. Sounds lovely.
Beautiful.
If you can believe this, next up we have Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Really?
Directed by Steven Spielberg. An Indiana Jones joint, the first film. A fucking 5 out of 5 masterpiece.
Wow. Okay, cool. I didn't realize that was up there.
A racially insensitive and
Is
flawed.
I haven't seen it in a very long time.
I also haven't, but I'm just thinking about some shit.
I've just been thinking about shit.
I don't think it's super racially on the level, but despite that, the movie is a masterpiece.
All right, that's cool. I didn't realize people thought so highly of the Doctor.
Raiders of the Lost Ark is like a perfect movie. Like it's. What can you say?
All right, what can you say?
Do I think that should have won? Maybe over Chariots of Fire. Absolutely. I do think this next movie should have won.
Who is it? Who's this little snake in the grass film? Who's this little cheeky little bastard?
Warren Beatty won Best Director for this film. He did not win Best Picture though. The film is Reds.
Who?
A biopic sort of. It's 3 hours and 15 minutes. It's a fucking epic.
Jesus.
It's about the revolutionary years of the legendary American journalist John Reed, who shared his adventurous professional life with his radical commitment to the socialist revolution in Russia. His dream of spreading its principles among the members of the American working class, and his troubled romantic relationship with the writer Louise Bryant, played by Diane Keaton.
I feel like you watched a lot of seminal movies when you were like 12.
Yeah, I did. I saw Taxi Driver when I was 12, which is insane.
Yeah, that
saw Pulp Fiction when I was 12.
Interesting.
I think I saw Reds. I was a little bit older when I saw Reds. I want to say I was like probably like 19 or 20, but I was still I'm still an idiot, but I was an even big, if you could believe it, I was an even bigger idiot when I was like 18, 19.
I'm only trying to get dumber as I go.
Like a lot of the stuff was a little bit lost on me.
Gotcha.
Jack Nicholson's in it. He fucking gives an incredible performance.
Sign me up.
As it's a real guy.
Jack Nicholson.
Eugene O'Neill. He plays Eugene O'Neill in the movie.
Yeah, sign me up. All right.
Honestly, kind of surprised Raiders of the Lost Ark was nominated, but
me too. But it's definitely a better movie than this. Like, it's interesting. For sure. It's fun. It's people like it. Like, why doesn't the Academy like movies that people like?
Well, that's what's surprising is
Do
like
people like this? Do people like Chariots of Fire? Are people like revved up about Chariots of Fire?
I think generally the consensus seems to be like, I don't know, it's fine.
It's so weird then. Like, why is it that these? It seems so elitist. Like, why did this weird cabal of people just that this shadowy organization just decides what's best for us, the people?
Isn't
Well,
that
I say
everything, though?
otherwise. I say the best movie of this year has probably got to be, hell, it's got to be Finding Dory. If it's not, I don't know what it is. I'll be quite honest with you. It's got character. It's got charm. It's got pizzazz. It's got degenerous. What more could you ask for / want? That's all I'll say.
I think it's cool that I think it's cool that Raiders of the Lost Ark was nominated because it's like don't. Sorry,
Jesus.
I'm gonna throw up.
Disgusting. You're choking.
Give me a second.
Yeah. Take your time.
Keep this in. Don't cut it out.
Are you good? There's no way you're still chewing on your oats.
I put in a lot of oatmeal in my mouth, man.
Why?
For the bit.
Oh, Jesus. You're chock full of oats.
To me, like Raiders of the Lost Ark is a surprising pick for Best Picture.
Yeah.
To me, but maybe it's Hollywood has always been in flux about like, do we give awards to the movies that people really love this year and that made a lot of money? Like, is that cinema, or should we give them to the stuffy English dramas about the Olympics? But I guess that's always been a conversation that's been happening as long as the Oscars have existed, because it only seems like recently for the Oscars, it's like, oh, we'll give it to fucking Parasite, a movie that people really liked. We'll give it to, I mean, which is that movie's a masterpiece, but we'll give it to fucking Coda. We'll give it to Everything Everywhere All at Once. Like, we'll give it to these movies that like are sort of more crowd pleasery and like more kind of genre movies. That's why it's a little bit surprising to me that Raiders was nominated 40 years ago.
This is why I think we should hold the People's Choice Awards in higher reverence. Now, hear me out. Do people vote for that? Like, how do they decide who wins a People's Choice? Like,
it's
who are
probably
the
like
people?
text 6, 7, 9, 8 for if you want fucking, I don't know, Finding Dory to win.
And you bet I do. I voted 10 times for Finding Dory.
That's crazy.
My singular plan is off the charts for the amount of times I texted them.
Singular?
Yeah. I got dropped by Cricket Wireless, okay?
So you don't think Chariots of Fire is Best Picture worthy?
Nah. I think it's a little bit plain.
It's just sort of mid.
Yeah.
Do you have reviews for us?
I do. I did source some reviews from some folks via the internet. You want to hear what some of the people had to say about this
I do
whole
love
affair?
Yeah, I do love opinions via the internet. I think those are where the best opinions are.
So this goes along with what we were saying earlier. Give me the name of somebody who's going through just a rough divorce.
Jerry Springer.
Jerry Springer writes, 2 stars. As far as nationalistic sports movies go, I'd rather watch Rocky IV. They really give Best Picture to anything these days, don't they? One day they'll make a movie that captures the essence of running without any peripheral bullshit that no one cares about.
Did this person say Rocky IV was
Rocky IV?
That movie does kind of fuck.
It does. I mean, if you want to get juiced up about America, go watch Rocky IV. Even that, actually, not really. It's more like a nuanced. Just go watch Rocky IV, all right? Just go watch it. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Give me the name of a person who is you know what? Pretty environmentally conscious these days.
Jeez, I'm Al Gore. There you go. Found it.
Okay.
Al Gore.
Al Gore in a celebrity guest review writes, 2 stars. Any movie that has barely any women in it, I automatically decide is gay.
I was gonna. So the guy who Abrahams meets on the train, Aubrey Montague.
Yeah.
The whole movie, like, he's like looking at Abrahams like Abrahams is a delicious snack, which he is. Ben Cross is very handsome and hot. But like, I was like, this character obviously wants to give him a kiss. Also, Oxford, just all boys. I'm like, there's no way all these men are straight. Like, are we joking? Are you freaking joking?
Are you
man?
joking?
There's even that scene where Aubrey is watching Abrahams get a massage, and I was like, he probably loves that shit. He probably loves watching his body get rubbed. But
I think
Aubrey,
you love it. I think you get off on this.
Yeah, Aubrey
Yeah, I do.
loves, or no, Aubrey is, he says he's into Sybil, Abraham's eventual girlfriend. He's like, I've been obsessed with her ever since whatever. And like, he's pissed a little bit that Abrahams asks her out. And I'm like, Aubrey, you're in love with Abrahams, buddy.
Be real. Let's just be honest.
Ask him for a kiss.
Give me the name of somebody who's just a little bit hungry for some lunch.
Fucking Billy Crystal.
Billy Crystal says 2 stars as well. The cinematic equivalent of a ham sandwich, ready salted crisps, and a bottle of water meal deal. Which I could not agree with more.
Bad, or it's just sort of like, yeah, it's fine. It gets the job done.
I think it's just like, it's fine. It gets the job done.
Okay.
I assume this is a British person because they said ready salted crisps, and I'm not really sure what that is. Crisps, I think, are chips.
Yeah, and chips are fries.
God, what a twisted, sick, topsy-turvy world England is, huh? People live there. People go out there saying, top of the morning, governor, and whatever. You know what I mean?
That being said, we do have a residency of live shows at the Royal Albert Hall beginning January of next year.
Yes, so come out and see us. We love you all.
We'll have merch.
We'll have church, because gotta go. Gotta go.
Next week, fuck it. We're going to The Apartment. And we're talking Billy Wilder's The Apartment. 1961 Best Picture winner, I believe.
I know you love this movie, but
I do.
I can't help but think The Apartment is like the most boring name for a movie, and it's probably going to be a little bit dry.
Really?
Well,
no, it's got Jack Lemmon. It's got
who?
fucking oh my god, you read a book for like once, man.
I don't pay attention to citrus men. How about that?
Wow.
He's an acidy man full of citrus.
No, it's like kind of, it's sort of a dramedy. It's funny.
Oh, okay.
It's got some intense shit. It's really good. I mean,
this is intense shit. What is that?
Like Jack Lemmon takes like a really bad kind of shit. You know what I mean? There's like a really, there's like a 10-minute fart shit scene. That's crazy.
I'm so excited.
No, Billy Wilder we covered with The Lost Weekend, a movie that is nothing, but The Apartment is
Billy Wilder directed both movies?
Yes.
Okay.
This is his second Best Picture winner.
Okay.
And his last, I think, if you, not to throw shade. I mean, it's
not shaded. I mean, most people don't have one. I don't even have one. How many do you have?
I have one at least.
So you have less than him. You should be ashamed.
Yeah, but I'm working on something that might get me the twofer.
I'll wait and see.
It's sort of a spiritual sequel to Seth Rogen's The Green Hornet.
Sounds like a slam dunk. All right, cool. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. So that's next week's episode. We're talking The Apartment. I don't know. Fucking dip your ass into ketchup and dip your fucking head into fucking mustard and let your sweetie chomp down on both. I don't know what more to say.
That's hot.
Huh? Oh, I'm getting notes from the audience to add relish. Maybe on your midsection. Have somebody lick relish off your tum tum. Is that crazy?
This is getting too...
Have them suck it out of your belly button.
This is getting too PG-13 for me.
See you, Wieners.
1, 2, 3, 4. These boys only want the best stuff. They want the cream of the crop. They don't want none of that Michael Bay shit. They want the shit that bops. Oscar bait, black and white. Maybe something French. If it's got more than one explosion, honey, put that shit on the bench. Oscar Wieners. Oscar Wieners. Oscar Wieners. These boys are the Oscar Wieners. Oscar Wieners.
Hugh Hudson, you should have made a better movie like The Land Before Time 2, Return to the Time Zone.
Land
Dino
Time
Crisis.
2, Dino Zone.
Hugh
This
Hudson,
was-
you should have made
yeah.
Dino Zone.